Hello, my name is James Patterson, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to create this ice queen. We'll start off with our model here, add a background, then add lots of different ice and other effects to come up with something that looks like this. So let's go ahead and open up our ice queen before JPEG into Photoshop. So the first thing we need to do is to make a cutout to isolate the girl from her original background. So let's grab the magic wand tool over here in the tools panel. Let's set tolerance to about 15. And then let's click on the background to start our selection. Let's just press Command or Control and 0 to go full screen. And then we can hold Shift, and this will allow us to add to our selection by clicking on these areas that the original click missed. And there we go. You can see very quickly we have a good selection around the background. Now let's press Command or Control Shift and I to invert that selection. Now we have the girl selected, and you can see there's a couple of areas up here that have been missed out. So let's grab the lasso tool, let's hold Alt and just whiz around those areas to deselect them while holding Alt. Now let's go to Refine Edge here in the options, and this will bring up the Refine Edge dialog box. Here we can apply settings that will really give us a much smoother finish, particularly around these shoulder areas here with the fur. So let's bring the radius to about 2 pixels. Let's zoom in a little bit to see how that's affecting our selection. And this is just setting an area for the refinement to work in. And then we can use the Refine Radius tool to paint in more radius. So this is painting in a larger area for the refinement to work in. So this works well around these bits of fur here. So I'm just telling the Refine Edge tool where to look for the edges. And you can see after I've painted, it gives a much smoother finish around all these bits of fur. So let's continue painting around this one. Let's zoom in a little bit to see how that's looking. So I think maybe if we boost the contrast a little bit, let's bring that up to about somewhere about 16, I think, and that would give us a bit of a harder edge between the gaps here. Let's have a look around the rest of the image, and maybe we could do with painting in with the Refine Radius tool around here just to tidy this area up. Remember, a lot of the parts of the Ice Queen here are going to be behind other effects, so we don't need to worry too much about getting a perfect cutout, but I think that's looking okay. Maybe we could just work on the hair a little bit as well, again with the Refine Radius tool, just to increase the radius around these areas and let the tool do the work of finding those edges between all the gaps in the hair. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that. Let's hit OK, although first of all, actually, sorry, let's go to Output 2 and we'll choose New Layer with Layer Mask and then hit OK. And you'll see in the Layers panel, this will give us an extra layer. It will turn off the background and then give us another layer with a mask applied. Next, let's drop our Ice Queen onto the snowy background. So if we go back into Bridge, we have our Ice Queen background here. Let's open it up. Then if we go back to our Ice Queen before JPEG, grab the Move tool over here in the Tools panel. Make sure you have Auto Select and Show Transform controls checked up in the options bar here. Then we can click on our Ice Queen and drag her towards the Ice Queen background tab, then down into the image and release to drop her on top of our snowy backdrop. Let's just use the Move tool to position her. Now let's make our Ice Queen more icy by adjusting the colours. So let's go to the Layers panel here, click at the bottom on this icon to access the Adjustment Layer menu. Then we can choose Colour Balance to bring up our colour balance options. Let's just press Command and Control and 0 to go full screen again. Now if we click on the icon here, this will clip our colour balance layer to the girl underneath, so we won't affect any of the colours on our background layer. Then let's bring cyan to about -60 there, just to really cool down all of the tones. Let's zoom into her face a little bit so we can see how this is working. And we can also add a touch of blue, I think. So maybe 10 blue, 60 cyan. Let's go to the highlights, and we'll also add a little bit of cyan to the highlights also. So -15 in the highlights. Now let's go back to our layers and let's add another adjustment layer. This time let's use curves, and again let's click the icon here to clip our curves to the girl. then let's just draw an S-shaped curve like this to boost the tones and make her brighter. So this is all done by judging the image. There's no exact settings for this. Let's go back to our layers again. Let's add a third adjustment layer. Let's choose hue saturation this time. Let's just zoom into the eyes here because we're going to boost those eyes. Let's click on lightness and drag that upwards. And then let's click on hue and get a nice green tone. We can maybe boost the saturation a little bit as well. We're trying to make her irises nice and green like this. Now let's go back to our layers, and with our hue saturation layer at the top here, let's again clip that to the rest of the layers that are clipped to the girl here. So let's right click and choose create clipping mask just to add it to our clipping mask on the girl. Now let's press Command or Control and I to invert the layer mask on my hue saturation layer. That will fill it with black to hide all of that adjustment. Then I can grab my brush tool with white as my foreground colour. Let's choose a soft edge circular brush and just using the bracket keys left or right to resize our brush. Let's paint with white over the iris to bring back that hue saturation adjustment here. And you can see how that's working to boost those eyes. Let's just add another curves adjustment layer. This time let's add a really crazy curve here. Then again, let's right click and create clipping mask, and let's press Command or Control and I again. And again, let's grab the brush tool and paint with white on our full layer mask to bring back some of that curve adjustment and boost those eyes. And you can see that's really boosting those eyes. Now we've probably gone a little bit too far, but the great thing about working with adjustment layers is you can always reduce the opacity of these layers. So let's reduce the opacity of our curves 2 layer to about 65%. Let's reduce the opacity of our hue saturation layer as well. I think maybe they're a little bit light as well. So let's double click on our hue saturation layer and we can reduce the lightness here like this to make the green more intense. So you can see we can adjust any of these settings at any time by double clicking on the adjustment layer icon there. So say if we wanted to bring back a little bit more red, we could just drag the cyan slider back towards red. I think maybe we will do to about -30, I think. Let's just zoom out slightly to see how we're looking. That's good. I think she's gone a little bit purple, so we'll add one more adjustment layer. So let's click on our top layer, then click on the add adjustment layer icon. Let's choose hue saturation again, and this time let's choose reds from the master drop down here and just lower the saturation of those reds. And there we go. You can see we're reducing the skin color saturation there by targeting the reds. Let's clip that layer to our other layers by clicking the icon there. And you can see already in our layers panel we have quite a lot of different layers working, so let's just tidy them up. So with my top layer highlighted, I'm going to hold shift and highlight the background copy, my original cutout of the girl. Then click on the menu here in the top corner and let's choose new group from layers. Let's call this Queen. And there you go. You can see I have all of those layers that are affecting the girl in one group, just to tidy up my layers panel. Next we're going to create a snowflake brush. So let's click on the create new layer icon here in the layers panel. Let's hit D to reset our colours and X to flip them. Then if we hold Alt and hit backspace, that will fill our layer with our foreground colour, which is currently set to white. Then let's flip to black and choose the pen tool. Then let's make sure we have the option checked here for shape layers. Then we can access the custom shape tool here, and this will allow us to choose different shapes. So there are some default shapes for snowflakes in the custom shape tool already as a default in Photoshop. We just need to find them. So let's click on the arrow here and then we can choose nature. Let's hit append, and there you go. You can see we have a snowflake here. So let's select that snowflake. Then if we hold shift and drag, we can draw our snowflake like this. Now we need to rasterize this layer, so let's right click on the layer and choose rasterize layer. Then let's grab the marquee selection tool, the rectangular marquee tool up here in the tools panel, and just draw a box around our snowflake like this. Now we can define this snowflake as a brush. So let's go to Edit and Define Brush Preset. Let's give it a name, Snowflake. Hit OK. And then we don't need these two layers anymore, so let's just press Command and Control to deselect, and then we'll drag them both down to the trash here to get rid of them. Now let's just make our layers panel a little bit smaller. Then let's click on the Create New Layer icon to add a new layer at the top of our layer stack. Let's double click and call this layer Snowflakes. Then if we grab the brush tool, let's select a colour that's just off-white, so somewhere about there I think would look good. It's okay. And then we can go up to our brush preset picker here, and our snowflake will be sitting here at the bottom of our list of brushes. And you can see we can paint to make our snowflakes like this. Let's just hit Command or Control Alt and Z to undo those strokes, because we're going to change the brush panel settings here. So we can click this icon to toggle the brush panel on, and then let's just adjust various settings here. So we'll bring the spacing slider all the way up to 1000%. Let's check shape dynamics, and let's bring the size jitter up to 100% as well. And we can bring the angle jitter also up to 100% to give us different angles. Let's maybe bring the roundness jitter up slightly to about 30%. And then let's check scattering, and let's bring this up to about 800, somewhere around there. That looks good. And let's make sure we have count down to 1. Now let's just hit X to hide our brushes panel. Then we can paint with our snowflake brush. We're using the bracket keys, right to make our brush size larger, left to make it smaller, and we can just paint a few snowflakes around the scene like this. And those brush settings we've applied gives us this nice random effect where we have some snowflakes larger, some smaller. There we go. I think that's looking good. We don't need to add too many. Then let's add a layer style to our snowflakes to make them glow. So let's double click on the snowflake layer to access our layer style options. Let's choose outer glow, and we'll choose maybe a light blue tone, something like that. I think let's hit OK, and then we'll change the blend mode to lighter color. Let's bring the size up slightly to about 18. That's looking good. It's giving us a nice glow for our snowflakes like that. So we have lighter color, opacity 75, spread 0, size 18. Let's hit OK to apply it. And let's just hit Command and Control and 0 to go full screen. And next we're going to add some ice. So let's go back into Bridge. We have our ice folder here with all these different shards of ice. Let's grab this one first of all. Let's double click to open this. This is Ice 2 JPEG. And we're going to use the Magic Wand tool just to give us a selection of the background. So tolerance at 15 still. Let's hold Shift again and continue clicking around our sky background here to select the whole lot. And then let's press Command or Control Shift and I to invert the selection so we have the ice selected instead. Then we'll grab the Move tool and let's click and drag our ice up to our main image, which is here, Ice Queen background, then down into the frame and release. And then you can see we have our bounding box because we have auto select and show transform controls checked. This gives us our bounding box, so we can click on the corner here to rotate. This enters transform mode, and we can also resize our ice to get it exactly where we want it. So let's have a piece coming in from the side over here. Maybe something like that. You can tweak these to make them however you like. And we're also going to lower the opacity of our ice layer just so we can see some of the girl underneath. So judge this by, I think maybe 57%, I think would work quite nicely. Let's go back into Bridge and we'll choose another piece of ice. Let's choose this one here. So double click to open this one. Again, let's use the Magic Wand to give us a rough and ready selection of the sky. You can see that selected this area here. So let's grab the lasso tool again, hold Alt and just draw around that area while holding Alt to subtract from my selection. And then I can press Command or Control Shift and I again to invert it, so now I have the ice selected. Grab the Move tool again, let's click and drag this up to our main image and then down in again. And then we can use the transform controls to position this shard of ice exactly where we want it. Let's just maybe make it slightly thinner somewhere like that, I think. Let's hit Enter to apply that. Let's just move it off to the side slightly more, somewhere around there, I think. And then again, let's lower the opacity slightly to allow some of the background information to show through and just tweak the positioning. So I'm just going to pause the video at this point and continue adding ice in exactly the same way by copying in selections and then reducing the opacity of the layer. And I come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so here I have added lots more ice in exactly the same way. I've moved my snowflakes layer to the top of my layer stack, and then I've grouped my ice into two separate groups. One called ice in front, which is all these pieces that are currently sitting on top of the ice queen there, and another group called ice behind, which are these bits behind the girl. Now the next thing we're going to do is to add some snow. So let's click on our top layer here in the layers panel, then click on the create new layer icon to add a new layer. With black as our background colour, let's hold Command or Control and hit backspace. That will fill our layer with our background colour. Then let's go to Filter, Noise and Add Noise. Let's bring the amount up to all the way up to 400. Let's hit OK to apply that. And then let's press Command or Control and L to access our levels dialog box. Let's drag the black slider all the way inwards and maybe bring the white slider in as well to really squeeze those colours. Let's hit OK to apply that. And then this snow is looking quite small, so I'm going to select an area with the rectangular marquee tool here in the middle. Press Command or Control and J to copy that area onto a new layer. Let's hide my first snow layer there, and then I can grab the Move tool and just resize it slightly to make my snow slightly larger. Then let's change the blend mode of this top layer to lighten, and this will only allow those lighter pixels to show through, and you can see how that gives me this really nice snow effect. Now obviously it's covering the whole image at the moment. We can use a layer mask to control where the snow falls. So let's click on the Add Layer Mask icon here in the Layers panel. Let's grab the brush tool with black as our foreground colour. Let's just choose a normal soft edge circular brush, and we use the bracket keys to resize our brush. Then click over these areas to get rid of the snow over parts of the image where we don't want it falling like this. Now I think we're nearly there. I'm just going to add one more piece of ice. So let's go back into Bridge and let's open up our Ice 2 JPEG again. And this time I'm going to use the lasso tool to make a selection inside the ice like this. Then let's use the Move tool to drag that selected area into our main image and drop. Let's just transform it slightly. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I'm not too worried about upping the pixel size too much because we're going to use a blend mode that will change the appearance of it. So let's double click to apply that, and then let's change the blend mode of this new ice layer to divide. And there you go, you can see how that's really working to bring out the texture of the ice. Obviously it's a little bit too intense, so we'll lower the opacity of that top layer, and then again we'll add a layer mask by clicking the Add Layer Mask icon there in the Layers panel, and again we'll paint with black with a soft edge circular brush to tone down parts of that divided ice layer there, just to tone it down like that. If I flick it on or off, you can see how that's working. And finally, let's just make a couple of tonal adjustments with adjustment layers. So let's click on the Add Adjustment Layer icon and choose Curves. Let's just draw an S-shaped curve like this just to boost the tones like that. And maybe we could add another adjustment layer. Let's choose Vibrance and just bring the Vibrance slider up to boost those colours There we go. That's our finished image. Thanks very much for watching.